listen, all leading up to this, you never downplayed how tough you thought Paddy would be, right? But surely you never thought it was going to be like that. I mean, did you envision a scenario where he goes toe-to-toe and has a Justin Gaethje fight with Justin Gaethje?
Yeah, I did. I mean, that was his only choice. And I knew he wasn't going to quit. He's not a quitter. I've never seen him quit, never seen him give up. And luckily, I found some success early. You know, like I said, I was going to have to steal some momentum, and he was very confident, and I had to take that early. And, you know, the moment I stepped in there, he didn't take his eyes off me. That was me not too long ago. And I guess I was Eddie Alvarez, here to teach him a lesson. Same thing he did to me.
He did try a couple takedown attempts, a couple foot sweeps in the clinch, things like that. I mean, so he did attempt to get the fight to the ground, but did you expect him, or were you the whole time, were you expecting him to pivot his strategy and just like sell out for the takedown and try to get you down?
Yeah, I mean, but I deserve some credit for stopping that from happening. I mean, there's no doubt he wanted to get it there. But half of wrestling is stopping people from taking you down, and that's what I was best at. And so luckily I was successful tonight from keeping him there. I thought I grappled well. I was in his guard, in his guard a little bit, past his guard, landed some huge shots. Pretty sure I sliced his face open with a couple elbows. Felt amazing. So yeah, like I said before, since Oliveira choked me out, I've been putting a lot of work in, and it sucks that it's part of the sport, but I have to do it.
Yeah. I thought it was great that you gave him some credit to his tagline, the Scousers don't get knocked out. But I mean, as you're hurting him multiple times over there, like, do you start to get frustrated at all? Or like, what do I got to do here?
No. I just got to stay in it. You know, my coaches do a good job at keeping me focused and keeping me in the fight. But I've been here. I've done it too many times to try to think that it's over or he's quitting. I knew, I could feel it. This guy was trying to hurt me the whole time. And if I took my foot off the pedal for a second, he was on my ass. And he did a good job up to the last second. I really wanted to finish him, but I loved teaching him a lot. He said my face was not going to look the same after the fight, and his would look the exact same. So as soon as it was over, I was like, well, look at your face, motherfucker. It does not look the same.
Listen, Justin Gaethje won rounds 1, 2, and 4. Very clear, by the way, as well, especially in the first 2 rounds. And Pimblett won rounds 3 and 5, I thought. Very clearly in round 3. And then round 5 was a scrappy round that I thought he got the better of. This was a great scrap. I have no idea how Paddy Pimblett did not get flatline KO'd on about 50 different occasions. If he lost, yes, he did lose. And if he lost any stock from this, the one saving grace is that he's been saying for a long time, we don't get knocked out, lad. And that would be the worst thing to happen to him. If he got KO'd in one of these fights badly, that would just be his ridicule forever. What happened to Scousers don't get knocked out, and it'd just be images of Paddy Pimblett out cold. I have no idea how he didn't get flatlined in this fight. Justin Gaethje was cracking him with so many overhand rights. And the worst part was, it's not even like you were understanding why he took the shot so well. Oh, he was rolling with that one. Oh, he tucked into that one a little bit. He saw it coming. I could see the shots coming. I was wincing while Gaethje was loading up because you could see Pimblett leaving exchanges with his chin up in the air and just getting his whole jaw span. And somehow he's still in the fight and throwing back. Absolutely crazy fight. Justin Gaethje started very slow, but picked it up towards the end of round 1 with a big knockdown against the cage. It should be mentioned, even though it's going to be seen as biased for me to bring this up, I bring up fouls in every fight breakdown I do. I know I wanted Paddy to win, but I am going to bring up the fouls. Gaethje fought very fucking dirty in this fight. A lot of eye pokes, a groin shot as well. I think Paddy Pimblett had a groin shot that he landed too, but that was towards the end of the fight where it was just an absolute mess of a scrap between the two of them.
I don't know, dude. I'm kind of leaning towards Paddy. But the way he does get hit with left hooks, he looks so good against Michael Chandler. Paddy's got a lot of ways to win.
He's a scouser.
He's a scouser. Scousers don't get knocked out, you mushroom.
He KO'd Dustin with a head kick too. The fight before the Max Holloway one, which is pretty impressive.
True. So he got, man.
Probably Paddy.
Dana White just destroyed one of his own fighters in the most brutal way possible. And what he said will change everything you think you know about confidence in the octagon.
Brutal lesson from the sport's highest authority.
Fine.
So how did you react to this fight? Do let us know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe for more MMA content like this.
The highly anticipated interim lightweight
Now, let's...
So here's what went down. After Paddy Pimblett got absolutely demolished by Justin Gaethje in their lightweight war, Dana White didn't hold back. He went straight for the throat, publicly shaming Pimblett for all that pre-fight trash talk. Remember when Paddy boldly claimed that Gaethje's face wouldn't look the same after their fight while his own would remain pristine? Yeah, about that. The irony was absolutely devastating. It wasn't Gaethje who ended up looking like he went through a meat grinder. It was Pimblett himself, bearing the brutal, undeniable marks of a full-blown war. And White, he called this out as false confidence, a mentality that he believes will kill you every time in the octagon. But here's the thing that nobody's talking about. This wasn't just Dana being Dana. This was a calculated takedown of a fighter's entire mindset, exposing a fundamental flaw that could genuinely plague Pimblett throughout his entire career. But let's talk about the fight itself, because what we witnessed was nothing short of absolute madness. This wasn't just another lightweight bout that met expectations. It completely shattered them, cementing itself as one of the most unforgettable chapters in recent UFC history. We're talking about a brutal, relentless showcase of grit and raw will that had every single fan glued to their seats. The entire MMA community erupted with passionate reactions, from pundits to fellow fighters across all weight classes. Everyone had something to say about this epic clash. This wasn't merely another title fight. It was a testament to the raw, unyielding spirit of both competitors, pushing the very boundaries of human endurance. But here's where things get really interesting and frankly a bit disturbing. The physical toll on these two gladiators was shockingly uneven. While Paddy Pimblett was rushed straight to the hospital for immediate medical assessment, Justin Gaethje seemed almost entirely unfazed by the ordeal. You know what Gaethje said afterward? He just shrugged off concerns, casually stating he's been in plenty of wars and was perfectly fine. Now here's where Dana White's criticism gets even more savage. White didn't just stop at calling out Pimblett's pre-fight confidence. He went straight for the tactical jugular, pinpointing what he saw as a critical, fundamental flaw in Pimblett's entire fight strategy. White asserted that this was the very first time Pimblett had ever entered a fight as the betting favorite, and that burden of expectation completely altered his approach. See, Pimblett was accustomed to fighting as the underdog, where the pressure is different, where he could fight loose and aggressive. But being the favorite, that's a whole different kind of mental warfare. White flat-out criticized Pimblett's game plan, stating it wasn't the greatest. The implication was crystal clear. Pimblett's usual underdog mentality was replaced by a heavy burden of expectation that directly affected his performance, and more critically, his decision-making inside the octagon. This ultimately cost him the victory against an elite opponent like Gaethje. Let's dive deeper into that tactical disaster, because this is where things get absolutely wild. Pimblett's initial game plan, declared with unwavering confidence pre-fight, was simply to knock Gaethje out. And here's what's truly baffling. He never abandoned that aggressive, striking-focused approach, even when he was clearly getting dropped and rocked by Gaethje's power. Meanwhile, Justin Gaethje, with his veteran patience, simply kept waiting for Pimblett to eventually shoot for a takedown and try to submit him. The glaring failure of Pimblett to adapt and switch to grappling when his striking wasn't working became a major talking point. It highlighted a stubborn, almost prideful adherence to a costly strategy against Gaethje's fearsome power. This left many openly questioning the tactical choices made by Pimblett's corner, leading directly to that brutal outcome. You can't make this stuff up. The guy had the tools to potentially win on the ground, but his ego wouldn't let him abandon the striking game that was clearly getting him hurt. But wait, it gets even more interesting when you look at what the fighting community was saying before this massive showdown. The professional fighting community was sharply divided, creating a fascinating narrative built on competing perspectives. Veterans and current champions all weighed in with their predictions, fueling the intense pre-fight hype. And here's where Dustin Poirier delivered an assessment that caught many observers completely off guard. Poirier firmly leaned towards Justin Gaethje, a surprising choice when a significant portion of the public was confidently backing Pimblett. Poirier's rationale centered on Gaethje's extensive championship round experience, believing this would be the decisive factor when fatigue and mental exhaustion became crucial in the later rounds. He knew intimately the brutal toll of those deep waters, knowledge that simply can't be replicated in training. But Poirier didn't stop there. He questioned Pimblett's ability to maintain distance during striking exchanges, or successfully complete takedowns against Geeth's renowned division, wrestling pedigree. Here's a revelation that offers a fascinating peek behind the curtain of UFC politics. Poirier subtly hinted at the organization's potential desire for a specific outcome in this fight. When directly asked if the UFC truly wanted Paddy to win, Poirier simply stated, with a knowing tone, probably. His reasoning was incredibly sharp and commercially savvy. With Justin Gaethje openly discussing retirement possibilities, a young, marketable star like Pimblett winning would allow the UFC to continue building him up as a future face of the company. It's more marketable if Paddy wins, Poirier concluded, summing up the cold, hard business reality. This insight offered a rare glimpse into the commercial pressures and strategic interests that sometimes influence pure sporting competition. Think about it. The UFC isn't just promoting fights. They're building brands, creating storylines, and developing the next generation of superstars who can sell pay-per-views for years to come. Adding to that consensus, Uriah Faber echoed similar reasoning, also backing Gaethje to prevail. Faber, with his deep understanding of fight psychology, recognized Gaethje as someone who genuinely loves to get down and throw fist for fist, embracing the chaos of absolute firefights. While acknowledging the undeniable danger from Pimblett's submission arsenal, Faber placed his trust in Gaethje's formidable division wrestling background to provide the defensive tools needed to nullify grappling threats. He believed Poirier possessed the strategic acumen and physical capabilities to keep the fight where he wanted it, neutralizing Poirier's strongest threats and dictating the terms of engagement. Belal Muhammad, the former welterweight champion, dedicated significant time to dissecting this matchup, ultimately landing firmly in Gaethje's corner. Muhammad focused on Pimblett's defensive liabilities during stand-up exchanges and his troubling tendency to absorb unnecessary damage throughout his fights. These vulnerabilities, Muhammad believed, would become exponentially more dangerous when pitted against Gaethje's knockout power and relentless pressure. However, in a fascinating display of MMA's unpredictability, several prominent voices broke from this consensus, confidently backing Paddy Pimblett to win. Alexander Volkanovski approached the matchup from a contrasting perspective. He didn't just think Pimblett had a chance. He fully expected Pimblett to emerge victorious and claim the interim gold. Volkanovski's reasoning centered on Pimblett's proven ability to perform under immense pressure, especially when critics and doubters were at their loudest. He specifically highlighted Pimblett's impressive performance against Michael Chandler as evidence of his capacity to execute game plans under intense scrutiny. Sean O'Malley also boldly backed Pimblett for the interim championship, envisioning this matchup as an ideal stylistic puzzle for the British grappler. O'Malley went as far as predicting that Pimblett would identify a crucial opening in the second round and capitalize with a rear naked choke finish. This demonstrated substantial confidence in Pimblett's high-level grappling and his combat instincts for recognizing opponent vulnerability during chaotic exchanges. Michael Bisping, another British former champion, added his influential voice to those supporting Pimblett. Bisping cited Pimblett's well-rounded skill set and renowned Liverpool durability as crucial advantages. While acknowledging Gaethje's fearsome reputation as one of MMA's most dangerous strikers, Bisping believed Pimblett possessed the versatility to fluidly switch between striking and grappling as situations demanded. This adaptability, Bisping argued, would prove too multifaceted for Gaethje to handle. Bisping elaborated on Pimblett's versatility as a unique weapon, forcing opponents into difficult decisions about where to commit their defensive resources. The ability to credibly threaten across multiple dimensions prevents opponents from settling into comfortable rhythms, constantly keeping them guessing and vulnerable to attacks from unexpected angles. But here's what makes this even more compelling. For Justin Gaethje, this interim title shot carried immense weight. Bisping framed it as Gaethje's final crack at championship gold, acknowledging he had already contended for the undisputed title twice before against legends like Charles Oliveira and Khabib Nurmagomedov. And get this, despite all the expert analysis and predictions, the fight revealed something that genuinely surprised even the most seasoned commentators. Paddy Pimblett showcased an incredible chin that nobody saw coming. One commentator remarked, his voice laced with genuine astonishment, that he didn't know Pimblett had a chin like that until that night. To withstand Gaethje's infamous fight-ending power, absorbing devastating punches, and somehow staying in the fight proved Pimblett's remarkable durability and sheer will. This newfound respect for his toughness, even in a losing effort, significantly elevated his standing within the lightweight division. It confirmed that Pimblett can indeed withstand a full-blown war against some of the sport's most brutal strikers. But here's the kicker. While his chin impressed everyone, it was his stubborn refusal to adapt his game plan that ultimately cost him the fight. Dana White's criticism wasn't just about pre-fight confidence. It was about the fundamental inability to adjust when your original strategy isn't working. So there you have it. The Justin Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett fight was more than just a contest for gold. It was a crucible that forged new perceptions, solidified existing legacies, and revealed raw truths about strategy, confidence, and the will of a fighter. While Gaethje's experience and pressure ultimately prevailed, Pimblett's performance, particularly the revelation of his iron chin and resilience, earned him respect from the entire MMA world. But Dana White's brutal assessment exposed a deeper issue. False confidence and tactical stubbornness can kill even the most talented fighters in the octagon. This fight serves as a reminder that in the unforgiving environment of the UFC, true character is revealed under the harshest lights, and sometimes the most valuable lessons come from the most painful defeats. So here's my question for you, drop it in the comments. Do you think Pimblett learned from Dana's criticism, or is he destined to repeat the same mistakes? If this breakdown helped you understand what really happened in this fight, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell because the lightweight division is about to get even crazier. I'll see you in the next one. The real question isn't whether Pimblett learned from this beatdown, it's whether Dana White just accidentally created a monster. Because here's what nobody's talking about in all this chaos. White's public destruction of Pimblett might have been the best thing that ever happened to the young Scouser's career. Think about it this way. Every legendary fighter has that one moment where they get humbled so completely that it reshapes their entire approach to the sport. Anderson Silva had Chael Sonnen. John Jones had his close call with Alexander Gustafsson. And now Paddy Pimblett has Justin Gaethje and Dana White's verbal execution. But here's where it gets absolutely fascinating. The fighters who come back stronger from these moments don't just improve, they become completely different animals. What we witnessed wasn't just a fight. It was a masterclass in what separates good fighters from great ones. Gaethje didn't just win because he hit harder or was more experienced. He won because he understood something that Pimblett is only now beginning to grasp: the mental game is everything. When Gaethje stepped into that octagon, he wasn't fighting Paddy Pimblett. He was fighting Pimblett's expectations, his pressure, his need to prove something to the world. And let's be brutally honest about something else that's been overlooked in all the post-fight analysis. The betting odds told a story that most people completely missed. Pimblett being the favorite wasn't just about his skills or his record. It was about the UFC's marketing machine working overtime to build him into their next British superstar. But here's the problem with manufactured hype. It creates artificial pressure that can crush even the most talented fighters. Dana White's criticism exposed something deeper than just tactical mistakes. It revealed the fundamental difference between confidence and delusion. Real confidence comes from preparation, from knowing you've done everything possible to win. False confidence comes from believing your own hype, from thinking that talking tough automatically translates to fighting tough. Pimblett walked into that octagon believing his own promotional material, and Gaethje made him pay for every single boastful word. But here's where this story takes a turn that nobody saw coming. The aftermath of this fight might be more important than the fight itself, because Dana White doesn't just randomly destroy fighters for entertainment. When he goes this hard at someone, it's usually because he sees potential that's being wasted. Think about all the fighters White has publicly criticized over the years: John Jones, Conor McGregor, even Georges St. Pierre at various points. The ones who listened and adapted became legends. The ones who didn't faded into obscurity. The medical reports from that night tell a story that's both inspiring and terrifying. While Pimblett was getting stitched up in the hospital, Gaethje was already talking about his next opponent. That's not just physical toughness, that's the difference between someone who fights and someone who is a fighter. Gaethje has been in wars that would end most people's careers, and he treats them like another day at the office. That's the level Pimblett needs to reach if he wants to compete with the elite. Now let's talk about something that's going to blow your mind. The tactical breakdown of this fight reveals a pattern that's been repeated throughout UFC history. Every single time a grappler gets caught up in a striking battle with an elite striker, they lose. It's not rocket science, but somehow fighters keep making the same mistake. Pimblett had world-class jiu-jitsu, but his ego wouldn't let him use it when it mattered most. Here's what makes this even more frustrating for Pimblett's fans. The blueprint for beating Gietz has been written before. When Khabib Nurmagomedov dominated Gietz, he didn't try to outstrike him. He imposed his will through grappling, neutralized Gietz's power, and made it a completely different fight. Pimblett had the skills to follow that same game plan, but he chose to play Gietz's game instead. That's not strategy, that's suicide. The psychological warfare aspect of this fight deserves its own documentary. From the moment they announced this matchup, it became clear that this wasn't just about fighting skills. This was about who could handle the pressure, who could stay true to their strengths when everything was on the line. Gietz, the veteran, knew exactly what he was doing. Every interview, every press conference, every social media post was designed to get inside Pimblett's head and make him abandon his game plan. And it worked perfectly. By fight night, Pimblett wasn't thinking like a submission specialist. He was thinking like someone who had something to prove with his hands. That mental shift cost him everything. The moment you start fighting to prove a point instead of fighting to win, you've already lost. Gietz understood this. Pimblett learned it the hard way. But here's the plot twist that changes everything. Dana White's brutal honesty might have just saved Pimblett's career. Because now, for the first time since joining the UFC, Pimblett knows exactly where he stands. He's not the finished product the UFC marketed him as. He's not ready for the elite level yet. But he's also not a fraud. His chin proved he belongs in there with the best, even if his game plan didn't. The lightweight division is about to witness something special, and I'm not talking about who gets the next title shot. We're about to see whether Paddy Pimblett has the mental fortitude to rebuild himself from the ground up. Because that's what this moment demands. Not minor adjustments or tweaks to his training camp. A complete reconstruction of his approach to fighting at the highest level.